Hi, I'm Jeff McErlain, and welcome to my latest installment of Tighten Up Your Blues, and today we're going to talk about the tritone. Now first of all, a tritone is an interval, and an interval is just the distance between two notes. So, the interval of a tritone, like the name kind of suggests, obviously, is three whole steps. Tri, three, and tone is whole steps. So we're talking about an A7 chord, A dominant 7. You spell that A, C sharp, E, and G. So between C sharp and G, the third and the flat 7 of the chord, we have a tritone. So we play A7. We realize if we just play C sharp and G, the tritone, we can get the same sound of the chord. Now the C sharp and the G, the third and the flat 7th, work as what we call guide tones. Now we're going to get to that in a later installment of Tighten Up Your Blues, but right now let's just talk about the third and the 7th of the chord. The great thing about the third and the 7th of a chord is we can play those instead of playing the full chord. So instead of going in a blues, I can do, which is kind of cool. A lot smaller sounding, often fits in with the band much better. Now, the awesome thing about the tritones and a blues, if I want to go to D7, which is my 4 chord, the same tritone happens but just a half step below. So A7, tritone is C sharp and G. If I bring that down, I get F sharp and C. So that's pretty cool. Same tritone, just down a half step. But something interesting happens. C sharp is the third of A7, as G is the flat 7. We bring that down a half step, the C becomes the flat 7, and the G moves down a half step to become F sharp, which becomes the third. So in other words, the two intervals flip-flop. Flat 7, 3, 3, flat 7. So now my 5 chord would be E7. Well, look at that. The tritone of E7, E, G sharp, B, and D, is G sharp and D. So I have this motion of tritones basically moving in half steps. So I'm going to play a blues just using the tritones. Instead of using big chord voicings, I'm just going to use little tritones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see what I did? I outlined the whole blues by just using that simple interval. So right off the bat, you're a much more interesting rhythm guitar player, right? Because you're not going... Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but you may not want to do that every time, right? So I always noticed before I kind of understood this stuff, when I saw a really good guitar player, it looked like they really weren't playing much of anything, right? They're just playing chords going... And that's really awesome because you have the band, maybe carrying along the bass line. So you don't have to fill in all that space anymore. You can just play those two notes. Let's talk a little bit more about the actual tritone and how it lays on the guitar. What's pretty cool is it kind of gives us this sort of staircase look. G is my flat 7 of A, C sharp is my third, G, C sharp. I can keep on going up. Now, I have to make up for the tuning difference on the strings. Then, okay, so it's really kind of cool to see how it lays on the fingerboard. Now, if I bring it down, there's my tritones, my D chord, back to the A, then up to the 5. Okay, so there it is as a rhythm guitar method, or a thing to do when you're playing a blues. So here's A7, the C sharp and the G. What's kind of cool, if you go up a minor third, of course, they flip-flop. C sharp and G. Here's my tritone for my D7 chord. Up to my 5. Okay, so this is all over the fingerboard. So what I did there was I just moved around the position as to where I played the tritones. But you can still hear the motion of the chords just by those three little tritone positions. So I've outlined the blues using something very simple, nice and small. Now I guarantee you, if you start investigating this, if you already don't know it, you're going to start seeing a lot of people doing it. Or they've always done it, you're just going to realize what's going on. That's what happened with me. Watched Stevie Vaughan play, and I realized, wow, he's just moving a tritone around. And jazz guys like Wes Montgomery, George Benson, you see Jimmy Page doing this stuff. Any kind of blues guy worth his salt is going to know this, any jazz guitar player. So I hope this helps. I'm Jeff McErlain for Tighten Up Your Blues, and see you next time. Thanks.